Hello, everyone. This is your favorite Christian fiction author, Felicia Kelly Brookins, and welcome back to Are You Writing a Book or Building an Author Business? We have got a really good topic for you tonight. Tonight, we are going to be talking about writer's block. Exactly what is writer's block? We need to be able to put a name to it, label it, identify it clearly because we just say writer's block, but what is it really? So I've got a few tips for you all tonight because I always do my 5 tips. And so we are going to open up first of all by stating a simple truth. And that simple truth is that every writer sometimes has what they call writer's block, but writer's block is not an absence of creativity. It is the presence of something else. And that something else is what we need to name, what we need to speak out loud. Instead of writer's block, it may be exhaustion. How about that? It may be exhaustion that you're dealing with. Or it could be that you are somewhat of a perfectionist. How about that? Maybe you are a bit of a perfectionist. So it's not so much that it's writer's block as it is that you are a perfectionist. Also, it could be that you have an issue with comparing yourself maybe to someone else. Have you considered that? That could be what you think is writer's block, but it's really not writer's block. It's just you comparing yourself to someone else. And then also, it may be emotional resistance. It may also be confusion. Maybe you're just not sure where you need to go next. And if that's the case, you're not really aware of that. And so you call it writer's block. So let's just kind of stop right there for a minute. So now we know there are some things that could better explain what's going on with us as writers, as authors. When we say we have writer's block, we can better identify what it really is. Maybe I'm in an emotional place right now. I have some things going on and I just can't push through. So that's what it is. It's an emotional thing. It's resistance. Maybe I'm comparing myself to someone else who's gotten more pages done than I do, or someone who's written more books than I have. Or maybe it just sounds like they write better than I do. So now we have identified that. I want to also add, along with that, that sometimes you are not struggling because you don't have anything to say. You're struggling because you're trying to write the book and edit the book and market the book all at one time, as well as trying to build your brand, and you're trying to grow your audience and all of this to become a successful author, but you're doing it all at one time. That is not the way to do it. Don't take on all that at one time. You need to space things out. That's way too much weight to carry on your shoulders in such a creative moment as that. When you're writing your book, you're getting your thoughts out on paper. You need to pick a lane, or as they like to say, pick a struggle. Pick a struggle. Are you going to operate in the mindset of the author, or are you going to operate in the mindset of the author's business? But don't do both at the same time. That can cause a lot of weight or heaviness or stress on you as an aspiring author. Now, to help you with that, to make sure that you don't do that and don't have that writer's block, as I said earlier, I have 5 tips that I think will be helpful to you. And I'm going to occasionally glance at my notes because I want to make sure that I stay on track, because I can get to go in and just talk. But I want to try to stay on track with you all. So, number 1, name the real block before you try to break it. Okay? And we just kind of talked about that earlier. Name the real block before you try to break it. When you're saying, I have writer's block, I'm stuck, I just don't know what to do, I can't move forward, I can't go to the next, I can't think of the next line, I don't know what to put on the next page. Step back, examine again what that block may be. We just mentioned some of those things in the introduction. Ask yourself, am I creatively exhausted? It could be that. Am I afraid the writing won't be good enough? Am I afraid that my writing might reveal too much about me? Am I afraid or unclear about what should come next or the flow of the story? Maybe that's what's causing your writer's block, as you call it. Ask yourself also, are you comparing your beginning to someone else's finished book or finished product? We're back to that comparison, which was one of those key things that we mentioned when we say writer's block, when we want to be more specific. It could be that you're comparing yourself to someone. Also, you want to ask yourself, are you afraid of what success may require from you? Which takes me back to a discussion I've had several weeks ago on the cost of telling your story. Are you ready to tell that story? Are you ready for what visibility and success may require of you as the author? Are you ready to pay the cost of telling your story? Think about that. That is number one, okay? Naming that thing. What you think that block is, name it. And in order to name it properly, you need to be able to say what it is specifically. And so that's why you would ask yourself those questions. Question number two, when it comes to writer's block, or tip number two, let's say that tip number two, return to your reason before you return to your routine. You may say, Felicia, that was a whole lot. Say that again. Return to your reason before you return to your routine. Okay. So, what do you mean by that? What I mean by that is before you force yourself to go back and start writing another chapter, go back to why you started. That may be of some help. Maybe you need to do that. Maybe you need to remind yourself why it is that you started this in the first place. Why is it that I wanted to write this story? Why did I want to tell my story? Ask yourself that. It's important that you remember that. It can be a motivator for you. It can get you back started. It can clear some things up for you, put you back in the right state of mind and perspective when it comes to writing. Okay? So ask yourself, what is the reason? Before you force yourself to write, ask, why is it that this book needs to exist? Ask yourself, who needs this message? Who is it for? What problem does this book address? What conversation is it going to start? Because that's important too. As you know your audience, you want to also know what is it that they're going to encounter when they open these pages. What transformation should the reader experience when they're reading my book? What will remain unfinished inside of me if I don't complete the book? Ask yourself that. Those are important questions. Those are the things you need to know that will take you back to the reason why you're writing. And before you get back into that loop, you need to set up a writing schedule. A writing schedule can tell you when you need to sit down, and it also helps to remind you why you should stay in that spot working on your book. A writing schedule. Write down time that you're going to write a certain section or certain part of your book. Your book should also have a clear assignment. That assignment should be, am I going to write something to educate today? Am I going to write something to heal today? Am I going to be writing something to entertain? Is it going to be something challenging? Is it going to be something that can inspire? Is it going to be something that can intervene in someone's life? or is it going to be something that may expose something? Make sure that you know your assignment when it comes to writing your book. You may want to set up what I call a book application. The book application is just writing one sentence. Okay? Write down one sentence that you promise yourself. And that sentence may be, on today, this book that I'm writing will help my readers move from blank to blank. Okay? What is the reason? How will a person apply my book in their life? This book will help my readers move from hesitation to greatness. From hesitation to action. That's what my book is going to do. My book will help my readers move from mental confusion to mental clarity, from struggling financial to financial wellness or good stewardship. Write it down. This book will help my readers to move from what to what. Now, if you're writing a fiction book, then you may want to say, through this story, I want readers to confront, feel, question, or understand what. Okay? If you're writing a fiction book, through this story, I want readers to confront, I want them to question or to feel or understand what. Only you can fill in that blank. Okay? So that was tip number 2. Return to your reason before you go back to your writing routine. Now, I will also add, when it comes to your author business that you're setting up, make sure that you determine how the book connects to a larger platform, to a social media platform. Does it support where you can have an opportunity to be a speaker, where you can set up coaching, consulting, or workshops? Can you set up community programs? Can you offer other services or advocacy services through your book? That's what you think about when you're working on your author business. But again, remember what I said initially at the beginning of this, that you do not want to do all of those things at one time. You don't want to be the author and the author business person at the same time. Separate those two. Okay? Your purpose must be strong enough to call you back when inspiration is quiet and the applause is absent. Okay? When it comes to writing your book, your purpose must be strong enough to call you back when inspiration is quiet and applause is absent. Tip number 3, when it comes to what we call writer's block, make the work small enough to finish it. Small increments, mini bites. What do they say? How do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time. Make the work small. That's tip number 3. Many of you are not blocked by what you're doing. Okay. You are overwhelmed by the size and the amount of what you are doing. Okay. It's not so much as the what you're doing, the fact that you're writing, it's the amount you're trying to get written. Let's say it that way. You sit down at that laptop believing that, hey, you got to write this whole book in one day or in a week or 2 weeks or 30 days, but you don't. Nobody writes an entire book in one setting. It doesn't happen. And there's no specific amount of time, no magic number, no magic season, a time of the year you need to have it completed. Take your time when it comes to writing your book. A book is completed one scene at a time. Okay? One paragraph, one question, one lesson, one testimony at a time. One honest writing session at a time. That's how you write it. Stop measuring yourself by what somebody else has done. Okay? And stop measuring yourself by the number of chapters that you finish. You put excess strain or stress on yourself or doubt or this writer's block thing that you call it. Measure, first of all, the creative appointments that you've made with yourself. What do I mean by that when I say your creative appointments? Set times that you're going to do a certain amount and only do that. Let's say you want to spend 10 minutes writing. Okay, I'm going to write straight through for 10 minutes with no editing. Okay, no editing. I'm not going to edit anything. I'm just going to write 10 minutes straight, just straight through. I'm going to just write. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to just write for 10 minutes. That's what I'm going to do. Or spend 5 minutes recording what you completed and identify your next step. Again, that's something you write down as an appointment. What am I going to do now? I'm going to spend 5 minutes recording what I just wrote, and then I'm going to sit down what my next step is going to be. What is my next step going to be? Don't end your appointment session without leaving yourself some instructions for what it is that you're going to do next. Okay, that's how you make your creative appointments. Set appointments for yourself. When you finish that straight editing and writing for no editing and writing for 10 minutes, what's the next thing you're going to do the next time? That is your creative appointment. Write that down. Set that up. That makes the work smaller, small enough for you to finish and for you to feel accomplished. Now, I'll go back to the author business application of this because we just talked about the author side of it. When it comes to making the work small enough to finish, and you're talking about the author business application, you want to choose one business building assignment. Okay? Choose one business building assignment. And again, I go back to do not try to do author business and be an author at the same time when you're writing your book. Don't think about all that together at once. Space it out. Your author business application, when it comes to doing small things at one time to finish, is to write one social media post, maybe. That's a creative appointment dealing with your author business. Define one service that you offer or that your book can provide or answer or take care of or resolve. Contact a potential partner for whatever your book is about, how y'all may work together on something. Create a question on Facebook or Instagram. Get your audience to respond to it. That is using the business part of it because that's part of the visibility of your book and your brand. Okay. So again, step number 3 or tip number 3, make the work small enough that you will finish it. Okay. Now, as we wrap this particular tip up, also remember consistency is not doing everything every day. Okay. Consistency is refusing to abandon what you have been called to build. Consistency is not doing everything every day. Consistency is refusing to abandon what you have been called to build. I have a story to tell. One day I'm going to write a book. I got a story I got to get out. Well, be consistent. If you believe that, be consistent because you believe you have been chosen and selected to write your story. Tip number 4, stop making the writer, editor, and the CEO all work the same shift. Okay? We go back to the beginning again. You don't want to do the author and the author business at the same time. Okay? When you are the author, you're building an author business. Okay? If you edit every sentence while drafting it, then the editor comes in and not the writer. So as you're writing, are you going to be the writer or are you going to be the editor? What are you going to be doing? Don't do them all together at the same time. If you worry about sales while you're trying to develop your story, then the CEO steps in, and that gets in the way of the creator, which is you. Are you going to be creative while you're right now, Or are you going to be worried about how many books am I going to sell when I do this? How can I sell these books? Again, separate the two roles. If you only create without developing a strategy, the manuscript may be completed, but it's going to be invisible in a way because you haven't separated those two things. Develop a strategy of how you want to write. Develop a separate strategy when it comes to your author applications, your business. Those are two separate things. Don't combine them together when you're trying to write your story. Separate them. Give each role its own appointment. Okay? Give each role your author and your author business. Designate. Okay? You have one session for writing. You have one session for doing your revisions. You have one session for working on your visibility and your content about your book. You have one session for your business development. What is it that I want to work on? Do I want to work on creating courses? Do I want to work on creating a manual to go along with this? But do them separate. When it's time to write, then just do that. When it's time to edit, just edit. When it's time to build your business, then you build your business and make business decisions. Stop making this all happen at the same time. Focus on one thing. Stay in one lane. Stay in one lane. And number 5, my 5th tip. I always try to give 5. Sometimes it gets better, but we're going to try to stay on track. And I'm going to try to go by my outline because I'm trying to do one thing at a time. Tip number 5, build an author ecosystem. Okay? Build an author ecosystem. Don't just write a manuscript. A strong book can become the foundation for conversations, for speaking topics, workshops, curriculums, advocacy work, some product or service that you would like to promote, an initiative. It could even come out to be a community program. I'll give you a good example of that one. So my book, Sister Nadine's Ways, my series, The Ways Trilogy, that became a stage play production. Okay. From that also, I created a nonprofit entitled Safe Space Theater Therapy Foundation. That is my community piece. Okay. And that came about from my book series. That is my community program that deals with youth and teens' mental health. That is because I wrote that book. And in my book, I have some scenes that deal with teen mental health issues and challenges. And that came about because I broke things down into sections and did them individually and put together what I wanted when it came to writing my book. Now, don't get me wrong. Not every personal experience has to be monetized. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. But know that the opportunity is there if that is what you want to do. Now, some stories are very private, very sacred, and that happens with the writer before they even consider something strategic or business sense coming from that. But every book needs to be clear. Every writer needs to be clear on the assignment for that book. Okay, let's say it that way. Be clear on your assignment for your book. Is it for a curriculum? Is it for a community service? Is it for an initiative? Is it for a workshop? Is it for me to have speaking topics? What is this book for? Examine each major theme in your manuscript. And when you do that, you want to also, as you go through it, ask yourself, what conversation can the theme in this book start? What problem does my book help to solve? What audience needs this message that's in my book? Could this become a workshop or a presentation? Could it support a resource? Could it support a program or a course? What content could introduce this idea to my audience? The thing that I want to do, what do I need to include in this book? Or what do I need to create along with this book to get my idea out to my audience? This is where your book moves beyond your manuscript and into a different framework, a framework I call AIM, okay? AIM, a framework I call AIM. Your book moves beyond the manuscript into AIM. And AIM is author your expertise, increase your visibility, monetize your message, author your experience, your expertise, increase your visibility, monetize your message. The book is the evidence of your leadership, of your thought leadership. You could call it that. The author business creates the pathway through which the knowledge that you have can continue to serve people. Okay? The author business creates the pathway through which that knowledge that you have can continue to serve people. Your book carries the message. Your author business builds the vehicle that allows the message to travel. Got it? You don't need to return as the same writer you were before you got this writer's block. Okay? You don't need to be that same person. When you come out of whatever has caused you to go into this writer's block, you need to be clear on your creative appointments. You need to be clear on what the assignment is for your book. And you need to be clear on the theme for your book and what it's going to do for you. Return wiser. You might have been gone 2 or 3 days, but when you come back, have you a plan in place. You may come back with a deeper message when you get ready to write that book again. You may come back with a better understanding of how you want your business to be set up as an author. Your creative pause, that's what it is, not writer's block. Your creative pause was not necessarily the end of your story, okay? It's not where you just stop. It was a creative pause. This is where your story gets the depth that it needs. If you follow these tips as you go through this creative pause, again, we're not going to call it writer's block. It's a creative pause. When you come back from this, you have things in order to help you write out everything you need to write out about your book. The book is still waiting. The paper's there, the laptop's there. The vision is still there and it's still speaking to you. The business part of it, that's still very much possible. Just don't combine them all together. And don't be so quick to call it, to use that term of writer's block. Step back and find out and be truthful with yourself. What is it really? And if nothing else, call it your creative pause. I love that. My creative pause. I don't have a block. I'm just having a creative pause. I'm being creative in other areas. I'm creating appointments. I'm putting things in order. I'm thinking through things about this book, or I'm thinking through things about my author business. And once I have those things clear and in order, I'm going back to my writing, and it's going to be clearer. It's going to be more in depth. It's going to be more emotion and more intentional because I got all these other things in order. So I'm going to end this with this advice to you aspiring authors, and I hope that it helps you. Remember, aspiring authors and writers, You are not always blocked, okay? You may have a creative pause because you have nothing to say right then, and that's okay. It's okay to have a creative pause. Sometimes you have a creative pause because what you have to say requires a braver version of yourself. Because remember, even before you write and as you write, you want to be counting the cost of telling your story. Count the cost of telling your story. And that may just require a braver version of yourself that you just may not yet be ready for. You're not at that point yet where you can do that. And that's okay. Step back, go through the tips, put things in order, and come back stronger and better. Thank you for joining me on this lesson tonight on Writer's Block, what we call creative pause. I hope this has helped you to move forward. Please check out the other links that we have, the other trainings that we have on this YouTube channel. Please share them. Please follow the page. And you can contact me if you have further questions at authorfeliciaBrookins@gmail.com. authorfeliciaBrookins@gmail.com. I'll be glad to talk with you and answer your questions, and I'll be glad to help you move to the next step as you decide when it's time for you to be an author or when it's time for you to start your author business.